Hi, my name is Lena, and I have too big of a TBR, a book buying addiction, and some commitment issues where I keep making promises and not delivering on them. So I will try to tackle all three of these issues with my own variation of 75 booked. Now let's break down all three of those points. And starting off with my way too big of a TBR. Unfortunately, I've gotten to the point where, and I've said this before, I've gotten to the point where I just own too many unread books. I don't really get excited about reading the books that I buy because I usually just buy them to put them on my shelf to increase the number of books that I have on my shelf to make my shelf look more and more pretty. And I've always wanted to have more books. I've always wanted to have a big TBR. It makes me happy. But I've also gotten to the point where there's so many books on my shelf that I really want to read, and I never get to them because I just keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. And it gets a little bit overwhelming. So I think this challenge could potentially help me with that. Now, my other issue goes very well with my first issue. I really love buying books. It's genuinely a separate hobby for me. I love buying books just to have them on my shelf. I also love buying special editions to collect them. And it has kind of gotten to the point where I am maybe spending a little bit too much money and I am maybe adding too many books for a relatively limited space. So something has to change. And then the third is definitely not the least of the issues, and that is me promising things and not delivering. I have said so many times that I want to try vlogging, and I have tried it. I have actually filmed several reading vlogs. I just never like them enough to actually upload them and show them to the world. I don't know why. It doesn't come naturally to me. Talking to the camera doesn't really come naturally to me, and then sitting down and filming myself as I'm reading or in the middle of the book doesn't come naturally to me. I have to plan when I want to film, and I try to sort of fit most of my filming into 1 or 2 days in a week. So vlogging and creating reading vlogs doesn't really happen for me in my daily life. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I want to try and work around that, I guess, or really implement it into my life because I love watching them, and it definitely would make me more comfortable sitting in front of a camera and filming videos. It will add more content to my channel, and it will definitely make me stick with the challenge and stick with my goals for these 75-ish days. So now that we've covered all of these three issues, let's talk about my version of 75 booked and what 75 booked is to begin with. So, as far as I know, 75 booked is a variation of 75 hard challenge. 75 hard is a fitness challenge. It has pretty strict rules of how much you need to exercise, how much water you need to drink, what you need to do every single day to get your health to a certain place. And it's 75 days of exercising every single day, drinking water every single day, I believe reading nonfiction also every single day. And the whole point of it is that in those 75 days, you will get very consistent with your fitness. It can be very diverse in terms of what you do for your fitness, but unless I'm mistaken, the rules of it is 2 exercises per day of a certain longevity. So that is the original challenge. And the book community sort of adapted it to be book related, and I've seen different versions. I've seen one where it's 75 books read, and then you can't buy books for the longevity of that. So however long it takes you to read 75 books, in my case it would be a little bit over a year, and I am absolutely not going on a book buying ban for 75 books. That is just not something that I would enjoy. I've also seen versions of 75 days, and for 75 days, similarly to 75 hard, you sort of have certain rules. So in a day, you need to either read certain number of pages or read for a specific amount of time. And then I also seen different people add some personal challenges to it, for example, drinking an amount of water or doing some additional activities like meditating or journaling or going for walks or exercising. So it has become a bit of a blend of reading books but also bettering yourself. And that is definitely what I want to do for myself. So the main focus of this will be books and reading books and not buying books. I am going on a book buying ban, But I also want to better myself and better my health and build healthier habits. So, to start off with, the longevity 75 ish, because it's not actually going to be 75 days. I will be starting on the 8th of June, and the last day of the challenge will be the 31st of August, which makes it actually 85 booked because that is 85 days. In that time, I have decided that I will not be buying any books, but I will not cancel my subscriptions. I am currently subscribed to three services. One is the Broken Binding, their sci fi and fantasy subscription, where every single month I receive one new release in sci fi or fantasy genre. I don't want to part with that subscription. I love Broken Binding editions. They usually hit the books that I would buy anyway. So, as a little treat for me, I will keep receiving them every month. I'm also subscribed to Goldsboro Books Fellowship. I won't be canceling that, but I definitely am planning on skipping my July book. And I haven't seen the August pick yet, but I will potentially skip the August one as well. June one is already paid for and will be delivered to me. It is Catherine Arden, The Unicorn Hunters. It is a book that I've been waiting for, and it is the book that I'm really excited about. I am going to the event to meet Catherine Arden. I have read her beautiful adult fantasy trilogy. I haven't read The Warm Hands of Ghosts, but that is definitely also on my list. So I won't be skipping that one. I won't be returning that one. That is staying. And then the third subscription that I have is a Fairy Loot Epic Fantasy. I believe the next payment is in August, and the next book is going to be delivered in August. Unless it's an overlap with the Broken Binding, I will be keeping that subscription as well because I do really enjoy these editions. I do really like the books that they pick. So my subscriptions are staying, but I can't go out to the store and buy more books. And trust me, that will reduce my book purchasing by a big bit. I will also be tracking how many pages I read every single day and what books I read every single day. I do that anyway. I started doing that a year ago when I set myself a challenge of reading 100 pages a day. And since then, I haven't hit 100 pages a day for a month, for, well, almost a year now. So I really want to challenge myself to go back to an average of 100 pages a day. That won't be always achievable. There will be days when I read a lot less than 100 pages. There will be days when I don't read at all, though I will try to avoid that. But there definitely will be days when I read a lot more than 100 pages. So I'm hoping that on average we can hit 100 per day. If not, my minimum would be 75. And to make sure that I don't accidentally fall into the reading slum, and I am very prone to those, I will challenge myself to read every day for at least half an hour. It doesn't matter whether it's one session of 30 minutes or whether it's spread out through the day. 30 minutes is incredibly achievable for me. I don't think that would be an issue in any shape or form. But that way, at least I make sure that every single day I read at least a few pages, and hopefully that way I won't fall into a reading slump. Usually, reading slumps for me happen when I just stop reading and don't go back to it. Reading sometimes is a little bit of an exercise for me when I need to discipline myself. So, this will be my way to make sure that that doesn't happen. I am also challenging myself to go on walks every single day. That is something that I've started doing recently. I try to go for at least a couple of walks every single day. And as a part of this challenge, I will set myself a goal of going out for at least three walks every single day. It will be easier to achieve on some days, harder to achieve on the others. We are in the middle of rains every single day. So I'm just trying to pick out some dry 10 minutes to just run out for a little loop around the neighborhood. It's not hard for me to achieve. There's beautiful walking paths where I live. There's beautiful scenery where I live, so I do quite enjoy getting out of the house and breathing fresh air and soaking up the sun. I don't want to stop doing that, but I will make that an official challenge for me just to make sure that I am still getting out of the house, getting my steps in, getting the exercise in. Good for me, good for my mental health, good for my physical health. And I think that is it. I will aim to film at least 2 to 3 check-ins per week. I will try to do it every single day. I just know that that probably won't happen. So I think aiming for 3 check-ins a week is the most optimal one for me. And I will post a vlog after every single week. I will try to post a vlog anywhere between Tuesday and Thursday. That gives me enough time to film everything, edit everything, upload it, and leave it out. So I am hoping that by the end of this, I will one, read a few books, two, haven't purchased any more, three, gotten into a habit of going out and walking every day, but also gotten into a habit of filming check-ins, vlogging, editing it all, uploading it, and I think the style that I'm going for is sort of reading vlogs. So I will be talking about the book that I'm reading. I will probably be showing you the beautiful scenery that I see when I go for walks, but I'm not entirely sure what my plan is for vlogs, but I will definitely do my best to keep up with my promise of filming them and uploading them. And just so you know what we're working with, I will share the current total of the books that I own, the books that are on my shelves that I haven't read, and what the plan is looking like. So currently, my books are living on 3 separate shelves. The main one is right behind me. There is a TBR shelf. It's not really a TBR shelf because not every single physical TBR book is living on that shelf, but I only have the unread books on that shelf, and I am only adding new books onto that shelf. No unread book is going on a main shelf so far, at least this year hasn't. And then I have a few manga books that are living on the manga shelf. That is mainly my boyfriend's collection of comics and manga, and I've just added a few of mine. And in total, at the moment, I own 441 books, which is quite the collection, in my opinion. But unfortunately, 310 of them are unread. That is quite a scary number for me. Now, I will add that if I own 2 editions of a book and I haven't read the book, 2 or 3 editions of the book and I haven't read the book, every single one of these editions is going into the number of unread. So then when I read that book, I will be able to mark several books as read. As an example, I don't know if you can see it in the background, but I have 2 editions of Dune sitting on the shelf. One is a hardback, one is a paperback. Once I read Dune, I will probably declutter one of them, but I will definitely mark both of them as read, and that will then bring up the percentage. And just for percentages, at the moment, 29% of my books are read. I own 3 books that I have DNF'd in the past. That makes up 0.68%. And I have 70.29% of unread books, which is a bit too large of a number. But then on my main shelf, which the goal in general is to have as many read books on my main shelf as possible. I want this shelf to be a representation of what I have read and loved. So when somebody comes to my house, they can look at the shelf and have an idea of what my reading taste is. And at the moment, there's 357 books on that shelf. 125 of them are read, which makes up a percentage of 35% of read books. Quite a good percentage. I would like to bring it up to a lot higher. I think the goal for the end of this year would probably be sitting somewhere around 45%, maybe closer to 50. Very achievable. But I have done a little bit of math, and this math is assuming that I don't add a single book. If I read 25 books in 85 days, which is very achievable, that just means that every week I need to read at least 2 books, and there needs to be a week when I read 1 book. That is my usual reading speed when I'm motivated and when I'm reading every day, when I'm trying to hit that average of at least 80 to 100 pages. So I think it's very, very, very achievable for this challenge. But if I do manage to read 25 books in these upcoming 85 days, then the overall percentage of read books will go up to 34.7%, which is again not the goal, not the end goal, but it's quite a good percentage in my opinion. We would be jumping from 29 to almost 35. And then if I take all of those 25 books and put them on my main shelf, which is not achievable because there's not enough space to put 25 books. So once I put all of those books on the shelf, I will then have to take some of the unread books off and put them on my TBR shelf. So the percentage of read books on this shelf will be even higher than I will tell you in a minute. But if I had enough space to fit all 25 books, then the percentage of read books on my main shelf would go up to 39.3, which is a good percentage. It's very close to 40%. I think if I do all the movement of books, I will eventually be sitting at about, I want to say 45, 42% of read books on the shelf. Beautiful number. I like it. So this is the stats. This is the nitty-gritty, the numbers. And then as for my book buying ban, I've never attempted one. I've attempted some low buys and I failed at them. So the idea of not buying books for almost 3 months straight is scary, is a dramatic word, but it feels like definitely a challenge. Like I said, I really enjoy books. I really enjoy buying books to an unhealthy extent. So that will definitely challenge my unhealthy habits. Unhealthy spending habits will probably save me a good bit of money. There aren't any books coming out in the next 3 months that I am eyeing. The only one that I might cave on is The Fall by Ryan Cahill. I own the special edition of Blood and Fire by Waterstones. I've also pre-purchased the Broken Binding one. That one is still coming. They had some production delays, so unfortunately they had some shipping delays. Also, forgot to mention, I have pre-ordered some of the books from the Broken Binding, so those are the pre-orders that I've already paid for. They will be delivered throughout the summer. I don't remember how many books it is. I think it's about 5. So they will definitely go on my shelf. I am not canceling those pre-orders. I don't even know if I can cancel those pre-orders anymore. So those books will be added to my collection. But apart from that, and apart from potentially failing on my no buy because of the upcoming release of The Fall by Ryan Cahill, I think I can live for 85 days without spending money on books. It's unbelievable. It's not who I am. All of my friends who will watch this video will know that this is an incredibly optimistic goal for myself, potentially unachievable, but I believe in myself. And I'm hoping that some of you who will watch this video will also believe in me. And if you have enjoyed this video, if you want to follow along in this journey, if you want to see if I'm capable of living for 85 days without going to Waterstones and purchasing a single book, then please subscribe to this channel. I will do my absolute best to be posting reading vlogs every single week on top of everything that I already post. And it's my TBRs, my wrap ups, reviews of some of the books, and every single month I post the upcoming releases video. Please subscribe to this channel and please follow along in this journey. I would love to have as many of you here as possible. And if you have any comments, any suggestions, any maybe potential wishes of good luck, then leave a comment down below and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.